Welcome back to another modern video. Today I've got a Jeskai Control List that's also playing a Prison Lock. You've got Orim's Chant, which stops a player from casting spells this turn. You can imprint that onto Isochron Scepter and recast it every single turn to stop them from playing anything at sorcery speed. And if you also have Teferi out, then they just can't cast any spells at all. Otherwise, pretty average control list, I would say. It's got, Wrath of the Skies, energy package, and Solitude's one ring to finish things off. And the Isochron Scepter also can double as a value engine, just imprinting one of the other instants in the deck and just trying to outgrind your opponents that way. So yeah, let's get into a league and see how many of our opponents we can stop from having fun or playing Magic. All right, we are in for round one on the play. Looks like my opponent has a companion of some sort. Gigantha. Could be a Ruby Storm deck. I think this hand is keepable for sure. It's a little slow, and hopefully their start isn't super crazy, but I got a lot of card selection with the Surveil lands and Tune the Narrative into Wrath of Skies and Teferi. Looks like my opponent is mulliganing to 6 here. Always a nice start to the league when your opponent mulligans. Hate to have a non-game, but love to have the win. Alright, so I think I'm just going to start things off with the Meticulous Archive here. Just get the tapped land out of the way. I think I'm kind of looking for a little bit of interaction here, so I'm going to graveyard that and see if I can find something a little bit better. Okay, we had a weird situation where my opponent was not doing anything for about 5 minutes, then played a land, then spent another 2 minutes without doing anything. But I think we are back now. Looks like a domain zoo list based on the Zagoth Triome turn 1 and the Gigantha companion. Let's see what they have here. So maybe a Kavu. Nishoba Brawler, sure. I'm gonna go grab a red source here. Get a Surveil going. And then I can tune the narrative. Okay, Counterspell seems fairly reasonable here. Yeah, I think I'll keep that. Cast Tune the Narrative. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Teferi, just bounce the Brawler. And try to set up for eventually having the Wrath of the Skies clear the board with a counterspell backup. So we get a nice bounce there. Pick up another Tune the Narrative. A little bit awkward with this tapped Hall, but Tune the Narrative is being 1 mana is so easy to get, find a chance to play that, So I'm certain that we can find a good spot for that. Let's see. Opponent has a Nakatl. Okay. Okay, with this untapped land, kind of interested in going for a instant speed Wrath of the skies and then hold up Counterspell. I can cast this for 2 mana and then spend my 2 energy and then still have 2 mana left over for Counterspell. And I can even wait to try to pick off a Ragavan or something like that. And then if they wait till post combat, I can Counterspell. So we shall see. But definitely feeling like I'm in a pretty good position here. Okay, they're just going straight at me, which means they probably have a Tribal Flames, some sort of burn at least. I will destroy your creatures. Territorial Kavu. I'm gonna go ahead and counterspell that one. So my opponent might have one last creature in hand. Oh, looks like they just concede. Fair enough. All right. I think looking at the Zoo matchup, I think definitely want Wrath of the Skies, Solitude, and then potentially Path or Subtlety. Path I have as a potential Scepter target where you can really just blow them out with that for the rest of the game. I think I'm looking at probably trimming a Scepter, trim a Chant, and then just go with a more removal heavy suite. I'm going to bring in the Subtlety as well, and I think trim down a Flage since I'm going up to 4 Solitudes, and run it from there. Flage can be a bit awkward with their Kavus and Scions, and I've already got Galvanic Discharge that can deal with those, so I don't really need another 3 removal spell, I don't think, or 3 damage removal spell. Yeah, I think this hand is a keep. It's a bit awkward if they have a very fast start, but I can potentially go, Triumph, then discharge another tapped land, or just have a counterspell up depending on what they do. Okay, so my opponent has kept 7, so I'll keep as well. Start off with a Windswept Heath. Looks like probably a Ragavan. It is a Ragavan. Kind of an awkward position. I think my best play here is to just take a hit, and then I can start to clean up starting on turn 2. Exiles a Scalding Tarn. Not disappointed to have that removed from the top of my deck. Okay, Fabled the Mirror Breaker. It's a pretty good one. Gonna go ahead and Surveil here. Orim's Chant is really interesting because I can Isochron Scepter in 2 turns to clear this out. I can also use it for value. I mean, I think it's keepable. Got to at the very least, you know, I got to try to set up the lock here, and I think Zoo is usually a decent one to do it against since their main interaction is just stubborn denial. So getting them so that they can't either attack or cast sorcery speed spells would likely be enough to win the game with even without a Teferi on the board. But my opponent is deciding what to discard here. Discards two ley lines. One is the Guild Pact, one is a binding. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to discharge this Ragavan. They have the stub. They do have the stub. I'm pretty okay with getting that out of my opponent's hand, though. They do get my Orim's Chant, but I think given that the Ragavan didn't die, I'm also okay with letting that live for a bit. Okay. I guess in this case, I'm probably gonna at this point looking for a Wrath of the Skies. I'm going to be taking 8 here. I'm gonna go ahead and surveil off of this Flooded Strand, and see if I hit a Galvanic Discharge, then I would be happy to tune the narrative and just draw that. But Counterspell I will put into the graveyard. And then yeah, probably just take 8. I can counter a Tribal Flames if I need to. Oh wow, then they exile Ragavan, or exile Wrath of the Skies with Ragavan. My best draw. Let's see. My opponent still has 3 cards in hand. Looks like they're going to be casting at least one of them. Probably letting any creature through, since I need to draw Wrath of the Skies anyway. Except for Scion, I'll probably have to counter that since Wrath of the Skies cannot kill that easily. So that might be what they're going for here. Or just a Leyline. Yeah, I think Leyline is fine. I'd rather it doesn't really do too much right now, and it does make it easier for me to tune the narrative. Okay. So I will counter this to Fairy. But that's not going to do it. Let's see. Do I have the ability to scry and then do this? Probably not. I probably should just tune the narrative, and then I can Wrath of the Skies X1 to clear the reflection as well. Although I suppose there's a decent chance I could. So I go to 4, go to 2. Yeah, I think my best chance is just to try to naturally draw Wrath of the Skies. Didn't get there. On to game 3. That's kind of the way these matchups go sometimes. You know, you have a slower start, they've got a faster start, and that's all there is to it. So I'm going to bring back in the Flage here over the Subtlety, since I'm going to be on the play. I think 3 mana on the play is, you know, is going to be a little bit easier to manage than 3 mana on the draw, and you know the life gain is definitely something that I'll be desperate for in this matchup. So My opponent has had a couple times disconnected at the beginning of the games we've played so far. Let's see if that happens again. Doesn't look like it. Interesting. This is an interesting hand. I think I'm going to keep, though. I mean, with double tune the narrative, I'm going to have a lot of energy to use for Wrath Disguise, and I, you know, going to be probably drawing lands off these, so I will go ahead and keep that. My opponent mulligans to 6. Keep the 6. Just going to start on a basic island here. There is a world where next turn I just play a tapped Hallowed Fountain. Opponent has Windswept Heath and potentially Ragavan. Does have Ragavan. All right, let's see what I get here. We get okay. We drew One Ring and Otawara. Solitude is not bad here. I'm depending on what my opponent does, I would not be opposed to solituding this Ragavan. I'm just gonna play this Hallowed Fountain tapped, and then I'm gonna probably tune the narrative to see what I draw, and then go from there on deciding whether to solitude or not. Okay, so got an attack. Galvanic Discharge. I like having discharge. Does mean I have another way to kill a Scion if I need to, other than this Solitude. So I mean, I'm assuming, of course, I draw a red source. Okay, Nicodle. And that's it. Okay. Pretty awkward. I mean, I definitely am gonna need some more lands here to cast this Discharge and this Wrath, but I can, being able to counter something is nice. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and counter that. Just take 3. Alright, let's see. Can I draw a land? I did draw a land. Okay, I mean, I think at this spot I'm probably just gonna shock in a Steam Vents and go for the ring. Actually, probably Sacred Foundry, huh? So that can solve my double white mana issues as well. See if they've got a Stubborn Denial. They do not. And draw. Okay. Did they have? No. I was about to say they might have Binding, but I don't think there's any way they could have cast it off of just that one fetch land. It's okay. So they do have Binding. That's okay. I have Teferi, and I did another copy of the ring. I think here I'm just gonna go for casting Teferi. I can bounce Nicodle, and then if, depending on what they play, I can just Galvanic Discharge their creature and a turn, and then Surveil. Okay, so Nashobach Brawler coming down. Doesn't replay the Nicodle, which is kind of interesting. Okay, well, I'm gonna do this, be pretty happy to just get this off the board. I wonder if they were thinking that maybe they have a Stubborn Denial and they were thinking of protecting it that way with this. But that's not how Teferi works. Oh, well, maybe that's what they're doing. It's a shame scoop here, but shame scoop or no, this is a win on round 1. So yeah, off to a good start, and we'll be back for round 2. All right, You're back for round 2. This is an interesting hand. No red mana for these 2 discharges, but I am on the play. Do have a Solitude. I'm gonna go ahead and keep. I'm gonna have faith that this Meticulous Archive will find me the lands that I need. And once I start deploying my mana, then going into One Ring and Solitude is good. All right, well, Flage to the graveyard is a pretty solid deal. Don't get the front half, but also just get something for free in there. All right, so they have Eldrazi Temple and pass. Okay, well, I will Meticulous Archive again. Looking for a red source, and I do find one. It's a bit slow, but I guess I can't really be picky. So, looks like it's just tap land, tap land, tap land, tap land this game. Well, luckily my opponent is also playing pretty slow here. Wonder if this is the Through the Breach Eldrazi deck. Could be pretty scary since I can't actually Solitude yet, but my opponent is also a decent ways away from casting it Through the Breach here. Okay, Sowing Mycospawn. That brings them closer to casting the Through the Breach for sure. They get a Cavern of Souls on Eldrazi. That makes sense. All right. Orim's Chant is pretty funny against Through the Breach. And they could potentially cast it this turn, so I don't think I can really safely tap out for the ring. So I'm just going to go ahead and play a Hall tapped here. And then next turn I can either play the ring or just hard cast Solitude. Let's see. Got a Thought-Knot Seer. Makes sense. I think I'm going to go ahead and just discharge here. That way I can, if they do have a Through the Breach, they're forced to choose between the Chant and the Solitude, both of which can break that up. And yeah, we'll see what they get. I'm assuming probably Solitude, since Solitude can also answer the Thought-Knot Seer. But certainly wouldn't fault anybody for wanting to get the ring out of their opponent's hand. I'm sure this might be a reading the card situation with Orim's Chant, and not exactly a modern all-star there. But yeah, it looks like they're going for the Solitude. Makes sense. I pick up another copy of the ring, but unfortunately I can't. In order to stop a Through the Breach, I would need to kick Orim's Chant, and I cannot do that and cast the ring. So I think I'm just going to hold for one more turn. Hopefully I'll either draw a land or I can ring into a land, and then I would be able to just keep myself safe that way. My opponent's also getting up to 7 mana for with this Eldrazi Temple. If they play another land, they'll have 7 mana they can use to cast Eldrazi, which is a bit scary. Oh, and a Wolf Run. Let's see. Got a Reality Smasher. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just taking 9 here. Next turn, I can play a ring and hopefully draw a land. Did not draw one yet. If I don't draw a land, then okay, I did draw a Solitude. So this will this way I can pitch Solitude to stop it through the breach if they have it. They'll gain a lot of life, but I would at least not die, and the through the breach will be out of their hand. It's like probably a Michael Spawn. Oh, a World Breaker to exile the ring. Okay. I'm pretty okay with that. I've got another ring that I'm kind of forced to use next turn anyway. One question is it worth using a discharge here just to get 3 energy? And then I could use my second discharge to kill, for example, a Thought Knot Seer. Might be that part of the game. I'm still stuck on red mana here, so feels pretty bad, but if I draw, okay, so I do draw a land here, which means I can go Solitude, exile Reality Smasher, Galvanic Discharge, kill Thought Knot Seer, and then probably take 5 off of the World Breaker. Or I guess that is a little bit awkward with the Wolf Run in play, since they could give it, let's see, they give it +4, +0, potentially +5. Very, very interesting spot here. I guess maybe the true answer is just to play the ring again. Protection for everything does solve a lot of problems. Alright, so I can play this tapped. Tune the Narrative is a good pickup too, since it allows me to potentially get a Wrath of the Skies out, and that would definitely be nice to get some cleanup going here. Okay, I drew a land. Pretty happy to draw that. And a Teferi. Teferi's interesting. So let me start by just tapping the ring. Ooh, drew an Isochron Scepter. Huh. Well, I can't quite Isochron Scepter plus Teferi plus kick Orim's Chant. However, I can Isochron Scepter, imprint Worm's Chant, cast, and kick it, and leave Solitude up for Through the Breach. So I think that's gonna be the play here. Play Isochron Scepter, Orim's Chant. I do also have a discharge up, if that matters. Would I like to use the ability? I would. Would I like to kick it? Yes, I would. Actually, even if they threw the breach here, it'd be pretty funny because they would put it into play and then not be able to attack. Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything. Go ahead and start clearing the board. get to draw a card. Lose some life to the ring. Not super concerned about that since I should be able to start attacking with Solitude soon. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead. Use the Scepter on their upkeep. And then I can Solitude end of turn. Solitude end of turn, and then on my turn I can Teferi, get the total lockout, and then just win from there. So fetch that out, grab a Solitude. Solitude the World Breaker. And then my opponent scoops it up. Nice. So we got the lockdown on him. All right. I'm going to need some help in this matchup, which luckily I do have. I don't think I need the path since I have these consigned to memories. But definitely want Solitude. Definitely want Wrath of the Skies. Probably do want Subtlety as well. Consigned to memory, Charmaz. So I need to cut 9 cards here. Kind of interested. I think probably cutting. Honestly, probably all the Teferis. They're not great against things like Reality Smasher and Thought-Knot Seer. And I kind of need Tune the Narratives for the Wrath of Skies here. And let's see. Could maybe see, probably trim a Scepter. Pretty rough in this matchup. And then I think since I'm bringing in a lot of removal and these don't line up super well against my opponent's threats, I kind of thinking of just going down to just having the consigned memories, counter spells, and solitudes to deal with them. Let's give this a try. Might be wrong to take out all of my discharges, but I think I can at least give it a shot here. And consigned memory is good. I can have that up since turn 1, and then yeah, Wrath of the Skies in 1 ring to clean things up afterwards. So my opponent has here. Really happy that I was able to pull off that that lock last game. That was, it's a little tough to justify on why you're taking out all of these, or why you're putting in a Scepter and Orim's Chant and all of this stuff instead of the stock control list. But that really shows why. You got a game that would have been pretty tough to win otherwise, and you lock them out. They can't attack. They can't cast spells, and that's game. Okay, looks like I thought not here. I'm gonna go ahead and consign to memory this, and probably I'm gonna grab a Hallowed Fountain here. Could potentially just grab a basic island, but I think it'd be nice to start getting my mana in order here. I'm going to go for a Flooded Strand, at least to represent Counterspell. They're a little rough with double Eldrazi Temple here, but looks like they just have a Talisman to play, so I'm okay with that. I'm going to go ahead and get to the Triome here. I've got Wrath of the Skies and I've got Charmaws that would be really good to draw, so really would like to be able to cast those if I draw them. Okay, let's get a Thundering Falls and see what I can draw here. Got a Meticulous Archive. I don't think I need that. Yeah, my opponent has potentially 7 mana available. Yeah, 7 mana for Eldrazi. Let's see if they have something other than this Devourer. Oh, it looks like a World Breaker. It is a World Breaker. That's pretty annoying for me. I would like my lands. Okay, drew a Solitude though. We'll see what they end up playing here. I think in this case, I'm probably just gonna Solitude this. I've got the ring covering me for a couple turns here. It would be nice to have this out of the way for the future. A Harsh Mentor. Okay, well, I do need to crack a fetch. That's pretty annoying with the ring. So maybe this is a opportunity to cast Wrath of the Skies. They have anything else? Ugin's Labyrinth. No imprint though, which makes sense. Isochron Scepter, a little late, just pitched my Orim's Chant. That's okay. Alright, well I'm just gonna do this for 2. Clear out the Harsh Mentor and the Talisman. And if I draw an Orim's Chant, I can start locking them out of the game again. Nice thing is against this Devourer, of Destiny, it's doesn't have too many targets in my deck. Another World Breaker is pretty brutal here. Okay. Can tune the narrative to try to find a land, or I can Scepter, put the tune the narrative on it. Probably just better to do this. I'm gonna be looking for a if I can find a land, I'm gonna be playing rings and drawing a bunch of cards anyway. So let's see, is this a Reality Smasher? It is a Reality Smasher. Okay, well, this might be over then. Okay, well, I can at least live for one more turn. Probably a couple since I've got another ring in hand already. I think I've got to keep drawing cards. Wrath of the Skies, not very good against these high mana spells, but does pitch to Solitude if that becomes necessary. Also, I am kind of dying to this ring, especially if I play another one and then draw to that one as well. Pick your poison. Yeah, that's pretty good. Don't take a damage off it, but it does stop me from drawing 2 cards. Okay. Chain the ring. Draw again. Get a subtlety. Yeah, really not what I need here. Okay. There's a cavern. My opponent is just straight up refusing to cast this Devourer of Destiny. They do not want to play it for no value. Um. Hmm. Well, I think this this ring is gonna kill me if I tap it. These Eldrazi are gonna kill me definitely if I don't. So it's like a tapping situation. Drew a Flooded Strand. If I could have drawn, if I drew another Orim's Chant, then this would have this would have won the game. Well, I guess not necessarily with the ring out, but um, let's see. Any way that I can live this? I mean, I can I can cast Solitude. I suppose I can. Oh no, I only have one basic plane, so actually this Flooded Strand is just lethal. Okay. Well, I was thinking, yeah, if I flash in Solitude, exile the Reality Smasher, block the World Breaker, then that puts me up to 5, and I would live through that. But um, yeah, can't fetch out a white source. So okay, I think I'm gonna bring this Scepter back in. Probably, honestly, bring in paths like um, their their creatures are just so big. Kind of need to answer to all of them, and probably just gonna trim a couple wraths. Hopefully, I can stay ahead of their curve to the point where I don't need the wraths, and you know, like for instance, in that last turn there of the game where they're just attacking me with a 5-drop and a 7-drop, it's going to be real difficult to get a wrath that lines up well against their board. Uh, that one against the Harsh Mentor was not really where I want to be if I can avoid it. So let's see what we can come up with for game 3. Luckily, we do get to be on the play game 3. I think that would be very helpful, potentially getting these Orm's Chants out. Especially that I noticed they were playing like the only artifact destruction we saw was Pick Your Poison, which notably is sorcery speed and does not stop the lock. So hopefully we can pull that off. Okay, we do have it in hand with a Solitude and a Flage to boot. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a keep. I can get a Surveil land to try to make sure that my land drops come through. Probably grabbing the blue-red Surveil land. Although even with 2 mana, like I could potentially Isochron Scepter turn 2. It's a bit risky, but a bit risky, especially with them having Pick Your Poisons. But at the same time, if they don't have it, then I just win. I have to graveyard that. I can't just not have lands. I mean, on 2 lands, I think this is how it's gonna be. At the very least, hopefully I can, stop them from playing on curve the way they wanted to. And at best, I can just win the game. So I can. Okay, they don't have a Pick Your Poison here, so I don't have any lands. But if I can just stop my opponent from casting spells, then the land should come. I wonder if they have a Beseju or something like that as an instant speed artifact destruction spell. Okay, I'll target you. You can't cast spells. Okay. This does also, Cavern doesn't stop it. Doesn't counter the spells, just can't cast them. Nice. Drew a land too, which is good. Go to upkeep. Activate Isochron Scepter. Cast Orim's Chant. Do have to be careful once they get to 5 because they could through the breach. But I could just start kicking the Orim's Chant if it comes down to that. And then I do have Solitude and a couple counter spells in hand as well. So, all right, I'm gonna go for a Triome here. Just try to get all my mana issues out of the way. Don't need another Scepter. Okay. They can't through the breach yet. So I'm pretty safe there. There's a land. They are up to 5 mana. I mean, I have to leave mana back for Scepter. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just not kick it. I've got Counterspell if they do have Through the Breach, and this also helps stop a instant speed artifact removal or something along those lines. Drew another Orim's Chant. Really just not having great luck drawing lands here. But my opponent is not having great luck casting spells, so I guess out of those two options, I'll take this side of the table. And they scoop it up. All right. Got 2 wins against Red-Green Eldrazi, and both of them were the lock, so pretty happy with how that turned out. And let's get it going to match number 3. Okay, oh, I just did not look at my hand, sat down, pressed keep. So luckily, I do think this is a keep, but probably best practice to look at your hand before pressing the keep button. But I guess never punished. All right, so up against another Eldrazi list. This one playing Dismember and Expedition map. So probably not the mid-rangey red-green version we played last round. I'm going to go ahead, probably just go for a archive here. I'm going to top this. I do need red mana, and having a 4th land with a ring in hand is definitely where I want to be. So, okay. Got 4 mana, turn 2. Chalice on 1. It's pretty good. Pretty good against my hand currently, but I do have the Wrath of the Skies. I could use now if I wanted to, but I think I'm going to wait. See if I can surveil end of turn. Okay, I wonder if this is the Madness Emrakul version of the Eldrazi deck. Triumph is interesting here. It's of course great with fixing my mana, but it's also like another tapped land, which I might not need necessarily. Um, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and bottom. Hopefully, I'll be able to get the ring down, and then I can just, you know, win that way. Got an instant speed Eldrazi. Oh no, the Kozilek's command, of course. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm definitely going to be wrathing the skies now. There, I can pay 0 mana or 0 energy and clean out their board. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just cast this for x equals 0. That way I can tune the narrative as well. With them being able to draw, or off of Kozilek's command, it's a little tempting to Orim's Chant here, but I've got the Isochron Scepter in hand, so would really love to wait if I could. Okay, so they've got a ring. Ring is okay. Kozilek's command cannot stop an Isochron Scepter, and I think that might be their only interaction instant speed, so I think it might be lock time. Cast a Isochron Scepter, imprint Orim's Chant. And let's see if they can deal with it. They do. This deck definitely does have a bit more play to it. They can cast Urza Sagas. I mean, play Urza Sagas. Can't cast it, obviously, but and then that can get out, constructs, cookbook for an instant speed Emrakul, that kind of thing. Although Emrakul's not really that great against me since I can kick Orim's Chant, so it can't attack. And you're not really going to be stealing many creatures from me regardless, so. It's another Eldrazi opponent under the Scepter. Got a huge Kozilek's command, it looks like. They do indeed. So they can make 9 spawns and scry 9 and draw. So if they have a way to get out from this, they're probably going to be able to find it between that and the ring. So let's just hope for our sake that they do not have that. Okay, they did put a card on top, so that's a bit spooky. But I will keep the plan going. They could have also potentially just topped another Kozilek's command, since that just gives them, another 20 looks or whatever at the card they're trying to find. Okay, to go ahead, I should grab another red source here. So I'm just gonna grab a Sacred Foundry. It's always a bit sad to not surveil, but it is what it is. Let's see, is this the turn I want to get down a ring? Probably. I can do that still. Orim's Chant on their upkeep. Draw a card. Drew another Scepter. I guess I could always put a backup down. Honestly, I might do that next turn. You know, just in case they had any thoughts about casting spells, you know. Got another Kozilek's Command. They're this is going to be the biggest Kozilek's Command of all time, I think. 18. Yeah, it's pretty good. Usually pretty good. So I have 20 spawns in play. Scrying 18, and then drawing a card. It's pretty sweet. I mean, they really can't do much with it though, since yeah, 1 top, 17 bottom. Assuming probably just kept another Kozilek's Command. I will continue to cast Orim's Chant. I don't really even need a win condition, honestly, since they have the ring out. Okay, so they do have Urza Saga, which could be a little scary, but I guess not that scary. I guess the scariest thing would be if they have Pithy Needle or something. Don't think they usually play that card main deck, but it is something that they could play. Could also be playing potentially a Ugin's Binding. Don't see any blue mana or anything, but I guess that is the other option here that these decks sometimes play. Tune the narrative. Get that. Let's draw again. Get another Teferi. I think Teferi should totally lock things up here. Gonna bounce that just in case they do play a main deck Needle. I wonder if they don't realize that I can kick the Chant. I guess I might as well just do this. Saves me from having to spend the mana every turn. I will continue to forbid you to cast spells. And they scoop it up. All right. Nice. That was a, a sweet round. Funnily enough, I think the Wrath of the Skies are kind of interesting here, since they can pick off Trinispheres and Chalices, as well as Urza Saga tokens, that kind of thing. Definitely, I'm trying to think. Probably want Consigned Memories and Subtleties. Solitudes are not actually that great. since they're not playing many creatures. It's more of they're playing Emrakul, which Solitude cannot kill. They're playing lock pieces, Karns, that kind of thing. So I think I'm going to trim down to just one Solitude. Probably keep just 3 Wraths for now. And then let me see here. For the last 5, I'll probably trim down to Teferi. Trim down to Flage. Doesn't seem that helpful. And then trim down, just kind of trimming a lot of the cards that are not like super necessary. Honestly, probably Solitude, and then just go down to 2 tunes. Okay, I mean this is a pretty good hand. I can keep up, consign to memory, turn 1. We'd love to put it on Isochron Scepter, but I think that's probably a bit ambitious to think that there's not going to be anything I want to counter before turn 4. But then I can also get a Charmod going pretty early as well. I think I'm just going to go ahead and shock this. I mean, it telegraphs a little bit, but I mean, you really think you're going to play against the control deck? I'm not going to have things to play against you. I mean, this Charbot already costs 3 mana. Kind of it's just kind of an insane card against Tron. Just a clock and a disruption spell all in one, and it gets cheaper the better that they're doing. So Ugin's Labyrinth, getting all his dust. That's one thing when I played this deck in the past. It's a bit weird to be casting something or to be sideboarding. So you'd kind of just have to leave in your All's Dust, even against a deck like mine that is not very good against, or it doesn't really have that many permanents that you're really trying to sweep. So I guess I'll just go for a archive here. Would like to try to hit a land if I can. This already costs Orim's Chant for the lock. I mean, this already costs 2, so I'm gonna go ahead and cast that. I can kill the Labyrinth. Do they have a Kozilek's Command? Kozilek's Command would be pretty good here. They can make 2 spawns. I think I'm just gonna try to counter whatever they cast off of the Kozilek's Command, rather than countering this, since hopefully this will use up their spawns, and then if they just try to cast like a Karn or something, I'd be pretty happy. Okay, I think I have to counter a Trinisphere. Okay, drew a Triumph, so next turn I can start the lock again. And I'm also just beating down for 4 in the air a turn, so. Okay, finds Tron. Is it maybe a Devourer of Destiny? Chalice on 2. I'm going to go ahead and counter that as well. It definitely seems like they have a follow-up. Okay, they got a ring. Draw with the ring. Okay, if that's the turn, then this game might be over. Scepter? Imprint Orange Chant. Don't need to attack because of the ring. And they scoop it up. All right, going to 3-0 off the back of Isochron Scepter, Orim's Chant, lockdowns. All right, let's get it going. All right, back for round 4. Sitting at 3-0 currently. These two spells have been pretty good to us in the last few matches, so I think I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Hopefully the Galvanic Discharge can hold things down till we get to that point. I'm going to start off with this. Deep Vents tapped. Next turn, I can hold up Interaction and then probably grab a Surveil land. Okay. Aether Vial is the sworn nemesis of Orim's Chant. And one I definitely do not like to see, especially alongside Volatile Fault. So hopefully this does not get out of hand. Definitely a deck that's susceptible to this type of disruption, since got a lot of moving pieces, got a lot of stringent mana requirements. Really don't want to see disruption in that sense. All right, so I'm going to go for an archive here and try to find a land. I really want to see if I can get to 4. To the narrative would be nice to get the energy, but this is kind of like drawing it, but without spending the mana. So, okay, I did draw a land though, so I'm going to be able to either Scepter or One Ring next turn. I could probably going to be casting the One Ring next turn, since my opponent has a lot of kind of ways around the Scepter. Okay, so they got 2 mana, 3 mana. 3 mana for Recruiter of the Guard. Yep. Let's see what they grab. Grab a Arbiter. Makes sense. I think I think I gotta kill something here. Probably the Philia, since I really do not want them to be able to search up another creature with Recruiter of the Guard. Okay. Well, I think what I'm going to do is cast the ring. I can draw with it and then use Solitude to stop them from destroying me with Volatile Fault, because I can exile the Arbiter, and hopefully they'll just, they would just be stuck holding onto a land there. Yeah, I think that's probably the best play for now. We'll see if I have to pitch this Orim's Chant or if I draw another white card. So the ring does resolve. Draw another copy of the ring. Kind of an interesting one. I'm at a pretty nice life total right now, so don't necessarily think I'm going to be, uh, you know, pressed into going for the ring or the second ring as fast as possible. But we'll see what my opponent does. Okay, they're floating a mana. Okay, they're going for the Volatile Fault, which I need to try to stop. Let's see if they have maybe an Aven Interrupter would be pretty bad. Okay, they don't have anything to stop me, so I will get an island into play. They get a treasure token. Don't think that matters too much given their vile situation, but okay, they do have a Ghost Quarter. If they had played that before activating the fault, I could have been in a bad position there. For sure. No non-blades. Okay, that's a lot of counter spells. Not great against the vials. I'm gonna go ahead and crack this now. Just getting things out of the way. Probably grab a Triome. Just don't want to be disrupted if I can avoid it. It's not even really worth putting a counterspell on Isochron Scepter since I don't think they're really going to be casting many spells this game. I do already have two things that I can cast. It looks like maybe they're going for Ophelia here. Yeah, they do go for Ophelia. Let's see if they cast it. Okay, they do cast it, so I'll counter it. Feels good to actually get a use out of the counterspell this game. Opponent leaves the vial on 3. Two mana for an Arbiter, sure. I do have the 2 mana up to pay for the Arbiter. Feels bad to have fetched out this Triome now that I'm getting... I actually would have had two things to counter, but... At the very least, I do get to search out a land here. Opponent gets to attack. Looks like my opponent is running a little low on cards in hand. Hopefully that means I can get something going here to clear. Maybe a Wrath of the Sky is pretty good. Okay, there's another Orim's Chant. And a Fairy is pretty good here to clear that vial. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, I could Isochron Scepter, imprint Orim's Chant. And then also hold up Counterspell, or just kick the Orim's Chant. I think that's probably where I'm going to start. I'm suspicious of an Aven Interrupter or something here, and I'm wondering if they would activate that in response to the Isochron Scepter. So let me start there. See what I can get going. Okay. I'll exile Orim's Chant. Now the question becomes, what do I do? So I'm going to go down to 10 from the ring. So I'll go down to 4 next turn. And then potentially, they could violence something, end a turn, put me to 2 or 3. But I mean, I think I can just leave up this Orim's Chant. I'm gonna imprint it, or I'm gonna use it because I think there's not too much more to do, and limiting them to the only thing they can do is cast 1 3-drop a turn, I think is pretty good. And I do want to leave up 2 mana for this Arbiter. I think that could be one of the ways that I lose, is just getting hit with the Arbiter and then like getting hit with a couple land destruction spells, and I can't do anything about it. So they can't cast spells. Going to 4. Galvanic Discharge is pretty nice. Let's see, I think I'm going to start off. Interesting. Do I start? I could start with a Teferi Orthflage. A little bit awkward that I can't do everything that I want to this turn. Maybe the play, I can draw 4 with the ring and then cast another ring, kind of reset myself there, and then I would have protection, so I don't need to kick the Orim's Chant. Next turn, I would lose. I'm definitely going to lose a red source off the Ghost Quarter, but I think at that point, I can draw into another one, and I'm also a little bit stabilized on life at that point. So I'm not as worried about it. Could also go for Teferi and then file. Then on their turn, yeah, I'm really kind of I just need like 2 or 3 more mana. I'd really be able to kind of put this away. But the way it stands now, I'm kind of open to something like an Aven Interrupter. Um, so yeah, I guess I should just start with a Teferi, and then I can. Mm, I'm worried about this ring damage though, and if they Ghost Quarter me end of turn, then I wouldn't be able to copy and kick Orim's Chant unless I drew a tapped land off the ring. But if I do that, then it's at 4 stacks. I guess I could untap land off Teferi as well. I think probably the best move is I'm going to tap the ring. Let's see, definitely start seeing how I can do here. Interesting. Very interesting. I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to Teferi, bounce Vial, Shotgun, Hallowed Fountain, Ring, and I think that's my best play here. So no instant speed spells. Do you have a creature to Vial in? They do not. Okay. This does leave me open to a removal spell on the Scepter. Although, and my Teferi is going to die for sure. But I do have another Teferi, so I'm not as worried about that. Okay, and I'm going to I think discard this Hall. Okay, let's see what my opponent can put together. Teferi down makes sense. They have, okay, so they can destroy 2 lands here for free. Really stretching me thin when it comes to red sources. I think I have 1 Steam Vents and a Thundering Falls left in the deck. Okay, there's the Steam Vents. I think I'm going to hold that for now to try and save it for when I need it later. Get a archive. I don't hate drawing the ring. All right, well, I'm back to the lock, and I will be using this ability and kicking. Pretty nice of my opponent to not replay their Vial there. Wonder what the calculus was there. Got another volatile fault, but I can pay for Arbiter. Fortunately, I don't have a basic mountain in the deck. I just have islands and plains. But I'm going to go ahead and use this. Probably means that I'm likely never escaping Flage here, but it is something that I think I can deal with. Okay. So I think now what I can do is cast this Scepter and then just start picking off their creatures. That way, once I have another Solitude, another Hall that I can use to actually kill them. I'm going to need to do it somewhat quickly, though. Okay, they just scoop it up. Makes sense. I was gonna win that game, but might have just taken a little bit of time. So I'm gonna do this. Path seems hilarious against Leanin Arbiter. I think Teferi seems pretty mid. I'm gonna cut 2 of those. Flage seems awesome. And let's see, maybe trim a Scepter as well. I mean, I gotta imagine that they're gonna be bringing in some disruption for that combo and going to be making my life a lot more difficult in that regard. So honestly, could see just taking out all of the scepters and then just going for a straight control plan. But we'll see. We'll see how this game goes. There might be a game plan for game 3 if it goes there. Looks like a 1 land Vile hand. This Wrath of the Sky is looking pretty sweet right about now. Opponent has a 1 mana creature, Giver of Runes. Yep. Ticks Vile up to 2. I mean, if that's what they're going to do, let's see if they have an Arbiter. They do have an Arbiter, so I will choose to keep my lands. Oh wait, they do have this Giver though. Oh, okay, so I just punted. Oh, okay, cool. All right, well in that case, I will get the Giver. Yeah. That's my bad. That's my bad. Fortunately, though, Tune the Narrative into Wrath of the Skies is a pretty good answer. What does my opponent have? Doesn't look like anything, and now they're just down to just one land. Do they draw a second land? Okay. Ephemerate in Solitude is acceptable. Down to one card in hand. They've just got a 3/2. So if I ever find a red source, did find a Flagstones. If I ever find a red source, the Solitude is dead. They White Orchid Phantom. Yeah, I mean, they're getting back. I mean, I think this path is pretty free to use now. Isochron Scepter is very interesting. I mean, I guess I'm just casting it, right? Like, the only thing I can do is hold up a counterspell for their top decks and path their creatures. And so I can go to 9 here, and then hopefully be able to Galvanic Discharge faster than they can stay alive. Okay, I'm going to shock this in. It's a little awkward, but lets me double spell. Okay. So just counterspell that. I can discharge to kill one of their attackers. And then next turn I can path something and use Scepter again. So yeah, feeling pretty good. I just drew Flage as well, so I'll just go ahead and Flage, gain 3 life. Kill your guy. And they scoop it up. All right, going to 4-0 with the lock control, taking down Hatebears, and let's run it back, see if we can get the 5-0. All right, we are back for round 5, trying to get the 5-0. This hand is pretty awkward. Does have the lock, but only 2 lands. Discharge is really the only interactive removal spell that's castable. I think this is probably a mulligan. It's just too awkward of a hand, I think. Okay, I mean, this is a keeper. I can keep this, probably just bottom the Hallowed Fountain, and then I can use Surveil Lands and Tune the Narrative to kind of sculpt my draw, and then I got a couple of good interactive spells as well to kind of get me into the late game. Okay, so they start with an Arid Mesa. I wonder if this is a Storm deck that I'm up against here. Usually don't play many, if any, 1-drops, so fetch a Surveil Land is pretty common. Tops with Elegant Parlor. Could also be Boros Energy, potentially. Just passing. Okay, well, I will be just fetching that as well. Grab a Thundering Falls. Isochron Scepter seems pretty bad in this spot. Don't really know if either of these are going to be good, and got a long ways to go before I can comfortably start just dumping mana into that thing. So, all right, another fetch, another red-white land. So it looks like probably Boros. They've got Ophelia. Let's see. Do I want to just discharge this now? I think I'll just wait. They usually don't play Ephemerate, so I can wait to see what they've got to blink with Ophelia. Got a Fable. Don't have a counterspell or anything, so can't deal with that yet, but I can kill the Ophelia and then bounce the Shaman with Teferi. Seems pretty good. Grab a Meticulous Archive. And that finds a Mystic Gate. I think with 4 lands, I'm happy enough with just graveyarding that. Go for Teferi, draw a card, tune the narrative, draw the card. I think the lock should be fairly good game 1 against them, but they're definitely going to have some instant speed artifact removal in the sideboarded games. So it's going to be tough to try to lock them out there. That's, I think, either Teferi or just waiting until I can do the combo with a counterspell backup is probably going to be very important. They are playing Ephemerate. That's a good one to know about. Probably would have shocked their Ophelia on my turn if I had known that. Oh, it looks like they tried to dash Ragavan and miscast it. Bad for them, good for me. And Ocelot Pride. Yeah, I mean, that's a big board. Would be pretty nice to draw a Wrath of the Skies here. So yeah, I'm just gonna fire off, I think, a couple of these, tune the narratives, and see what I can pick up here. Nothing really. So just gonna hold up Counterspell, and then I can set up to Solitude next turn. Yeah, they really I had the board clear last turn, and now they're swinging with 4 creatures. It's pretty good. Assuming these are going at Teferi. Yep. Ragavan coming at me. They're probably debating maybe on sending Guide of Souls at Teferi or not. Looks like they did decide to send it at Teferi. And then jump the cat token. Oh, I mean, Teferi did soak up 5 damage there. That's kind of nice. Basic Island exiled off of Ragavan. Then they just pass. I do have the City's Blessing now, so probably going to need to find a Wrath pretty quickly here. Let's grab a Archive, try to Surveil into it. Counterspell is not what I need here. Drew another Counterspell on top of that. Okay, well, Save me Solitude. I think I might. Let's see if they try to use the reflection. Because I might just. Attack with that. Okay, they're not using the reflection to attack, but they're also not using it to make a copy of something. So we're going to jump another cat. This is kind of an interesting spot. So right now I'm taking 7, 10, 11 damage. I mean, I probably just want to exile the cat and then block the Ocelot Pride. It's a bit awkward to let Ragavan hit again, but this stops more cats from coming down and gains me life. Solitude can stick around for next turn, so I think that's gonna be my plan. All right, go for a block here. Opponent fetches an idyllic Grange. Wow, they really got me with that one. That's awesome. That's a sweet tech. I've not seen that in the Boros deck, but it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Ragavan, do me a favor by exiling that Plains. So it's basically Wrath or Bust at this point. I guess Ring would also be pretty good. Buy me a turn. Okay, yeah, and then make a copy of Ocelot Pride. And then that also creates a couple tokens of Ocelot Pride, I believe. Yep. That gets nuts pretty quick. So after this, they're going to have 4 Ocelot Prides. And I desperately need a Wrath of the Skies. Let's see, and I drew a Hall of Storm Giants, and that will do it. All right, well, rough game 1, but do have some cards to answer that. So I'm going to take out the fairies, I think. It just seems very slow, very kind of not, what am I trying to say? They're not very impactful against certain like cards like Ragavan, not very good against Ophelia. I guess decent against Ophelia, but there a lot of, I guess the main thing is there's a lot of ETBs, a lot of cheap creatures, and neither of those are that incredible to bounce. So I think I'm just going to go run it like this, bring in the subtlety, and yeah, I guess just thinking about it now, I probably should have brought in the Stone of Eric, but potentially a game 3 inclusion. Yeah, this hand looks like a keep to me. You can get some good value here. Probably just starting off with a Thundering Falls. To the narrative. To the narrative is probably not the worst draw, I think, because I could potentially cast 2 tunes next turn. So Ragavan, it is a Ragavan. Okay. Kind of hurts to not play the Hall here, but I think I want to try to get double white for Wrath. If I can get, Wrath down on Solitude. I guess let me surveil here and then cast a tune, and then okay. So I did find a Flooded Strand. I'll draw that here. So I'm just gonna let this go since I do have this Wrath that I can cast for X3 this turn. So if they do play like a Fable, I can cleanly clear the board here. Going after my Archive, which I'm pretty happy about since I have a basic Plains and I do not have a basic Mountain. Okay, got a Ring as well. Question is, do I Wrath now or do I wait? Probably just Wrath now. I can see, probably want to get a Hallowed Fountain. I guess I can leave up Tune the Narrative. Yeah. I think I'm much more likely to want Galvanic Discharge, or obviously Orim's Chant on Isochron Scepter, even Counterspell rather than Tune. Wouldn't be upset if that was what I need to do, but it's not. I've got better instants to do in my deck. Okay, so I've got a Fable here. Makes sense. Drew a Flooded Strand. Oh, and a Orim's Chant. Huh. So the question is, do I just try to lock them out of the game? I think the answer is probably yes. I mean, they could have a sideboard card that would deal with it, but they didn't see the lock last game, so it wouldn't be that crazy to not have brought anything in. I'm gonna grab a Sacred Foundry so that I have double white and double red here. Isochron Scepter. Orim's Chant. So they'll get to attack me this turn, but they won't be able to attack any turn after this. So let's hope that that is enough. Okay. Orim's Chant. You can't cast spells. Lightning Bolt me. Fair enough. Again, discard a couple cards to Fable. I mean, it is a bit spooky for them to bolt me since another bolt and plus the Flayed would kill me since they do have Goblin Shaman. I guess I'm forgetting my own text here. Can't cast spells. All right. They go down. So I'm going to can't cast spells. Going down to 5 here. Bit spooky. All right. Let's see what I can draw. Galvanic Discharge. Could be nice. I'm going to be Continuing the lock. Yep. And this time I will kick. So you can't attack either. Can't cast spells, can't attack. Galvanic Discharge. Yeah, not super helpful at this point. I think I'm just kind of playing the waiting game. Might fire off one or two of these at the end of their turn. Just for the future when I can get a Solitude down. If I can clear the board, then I can Solitude, and I don't have to keep kicking this Orim's Chant. Then my Solitude can also get in to deal damage. I'm just going to go ahead and pop this off here. They can make a copy of it if they want. It's on their second main, so not really going to matter too much here. Counterspell would also be a pretty good draw. Drew another Discharge, which is not great. Would be really looking for lands at this point. Since... Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and discharge that. Just can stop them from getting more looks at a Lightning Bolt. I don't need to kick it anymore. Okay, just try a player. No spells. Fourth Galvanic Discharge before I found a land. A little bit crazy, but you know, where one more land I can get a ring down. Okay, so they found Ophelia. That also doesn't attack. I would like to use the ability, and I would like to kick Orim's Chant. Okay, with just the one Ophelia, I think I'm just going to leave it for now. Oh, land, let's go. That's huge. I guess I could cast the ring. I don't really need to. Just think that's just gonna result in me taking extra damage when I can just play it slow, play it safe, and keep things locked down. I'm gonna go ahead, discharge this, and see if I can surveil into a land here. Did find a counterspell, which I will keep. It seems pretty good. Like it increases the number of bolts that they're gonna need to kill me here. So I will continue the lock in the meantime. Okay, Path to Exile. I will copy the card again. May come as a surprise, but I actually do want no spells to be cast on my opponent's turn. So they would need to be one plain 4 bolts, which is not a given in the deck that they're playing. And then also to have found all 4, or the remaining 3, I guess. They've used 1, so they need to find 2, 3, and 4. Because they need to bolt me, I counter it, and then bolt me a 3rd time. So my opponent is thinking, maybe they have 2 of the bolts, and they're thinking about whether they can use them here. Okay, they let me resolve this, so I will target you. Can't cast spells. Okay. If whatever they were just thinking about, they decided not to go for it. Let's see, do I draw a land? Draw a ring. Okay. I'm chilling. No reason to rush anything. Cast. You do not cast spells. Land. Another Solitude. Really not having great luck with these lands here, but got time. No spells for you. They discard an Ocelot Pride. Hey, there's a land. Okay. Alright, the end is in sight. Not going to shock it. Don't want to go into bolt range, but it will be untapped for next turn. And looks like my opponent has already F6 through the turn before I even cast the Scepter. Alright, and I found another land. They got Ophelia. So I'm going to do this. I can do this without kicking, because once this resolves, they can't cast spells. And then I will cast a Solitude to remove it. And now I have a clock. I can gain life. Yeah, that's the game. My opponent sees that as well. All right. Well, that was sweet. This lock really has been working out honestly, way better than I expected. I was not really anticipating such a good showing from the lock itself. If we're being totally honest, that was not something that I expected. I think I'm probably just going to run it back. I know I talked about bringing in the stones for game 3, but I do have Solitudes and Paths to do with Flage, and stone is just pretty bad otherwise, so yeah. Probably just going to go run it like this. Okay. Yeah, not a great hand, but I'll keep it. You know, I've got a Solitude that I can use for early spell, and then back that up with counterspell into Wrath. What's their turn 1 Ragavan? Yeah, turn 1 Ragavan is pretty brutal. Really was hoping for anything else from my opponent there. I wonder if I should be solituding this. I feel like I probably should. It's if they just play a Fable here, then I'm just kind of cooked. Oh, nice. And they kept a one lander? Or did they mean to play a land and didn't? Either way. I'm gonna go for, I guess I'll go for a Thundering Falls here. Okay, I'm keeping the second Wrath. There's no way that my opponent on one land, I'm gonna keep a thing that, or not gonna keep a thing that kills everything that costs one. Do I counterspell that? I don't think so. I'll just counter around it, I think. By itself, it's just a 1/2, and then I can sweep it away later with the Wrath. All right, grab a Meticulous Archive. I do need some lands though. Another ring isn't going to help me if lands are not coming. Opponent probably going for a Surveil land here at a turn, I would assume. Yep. Keeps the card on top. Maybe a third land. Okay, goes for an Ajani. I'm going to counter that. Card is pretty good. Tapped land for my opponent. Attack for 1. I'm cool with that. Yeah, nice. Drew a land. So feeling pretty good right now. Opponent has 3 going up to 4 cards in hand. Gets a 4th land. So they missed their second land and then have not missed a land since. I wonder if that was like just a misclick or something. I'm kind of wondering. I guess probably what I want to do is just chill, keep the board clears for as long as I can, and then once they fit something through, then I can cast the One Ring into Wrath. Okay, they will put a +1/+1 counter of Guide of Souls, and I will accept that outcome. And a Johnny. Okay. Well, I mean, they're down to 1 card in hand. I think this is probably a good turn to put the ring down. And then I can go into a Wrath the following turn. Cast the ring, draw a card, even drew a land. Land number 5 after not playing a second land. So I got 1 card in hand. I wonder if it's like an Ephemerate or something. I'm gonna fetch out my Triumph. It's just always nice to have in play and not in my deck. Gonna start by drawing a couple cards. Drew an Isochron Scepter. And then let's see here. I think I'm just gonna go for Wrath of the Skies X2. Then next turn I have Solitude, or I can even tune the narrative onto Isochron Scepter. One thing, Ophelia would be a little awkward for me here, so I don't have don't have a clean answer to it, but it also doesn't have anything that great to blink. Doesn't look like they're going to go for that. Just a land pass. Flooding out pretty hard. Oh, on their end step, bolt me. Sure. Galvanic Discharge. Go ahead and tap the ring. Well, I suppose this is a fitting way to go with it, is get an Orim's Chant. And just in case you might draw something that I don't like, I will have you not be able to cast anything. I'm going to draw a card. The Galvanic Discharge. Going out of 5 here, which is a little spooky, but I got another ring in hand, so that's going to be my plan. Alright. Cast another ring. I'll keep the new one. And then I can discard the Wrath. Get this going. And then next turn I can cast Solitude and get a clock to win the game. Yep. I will have you not cast spells. Maybe we can get a errata here to say for the rest of the game, not just this turn. Do have a land. And I have a Solitude. And they scoop it up. Hey, we got the 5-0 with Isochron, Scepter, Orim's Chant, Lock Control. That was a crazy set of games. Really excited about with how that turned out. I was kind of thinking that the Isochron Scepter would be a decent long game type of card, just kind of as more of a finisher, and then the other control cards would be doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And definitely I'm not going to say that the other energy control cards aren't great. Like obviously, the Wrath pulled me out of a lot of deep situations with Tune the Narrative to get energy and Galvanic Discharge to clean things up as well. But I also just turn 2 cast Isochron Scepter one game, and then turn 3 locked my opponent out of casting spells. So that was, definitely something that a normal control list just doesn't have access to. If I was playing, if I was playing a stock list, these would probably be, let's say, Archmage's Charms, maybe Subtleties, probably Forced Solitudes, something along those lines. And obviously those would be also great on turn 2, but they don't just win you the game and stop the opponent from attacking you. So yeah, let's see what we've got in 11 treasure chests for the 5-0. Crack these open to cool Blackleaf Cliffs. Let's see, nothing. Extraplanar Reliant is always a great. Oh, Hull Breacher. I don't even know if that's worth anything online. Modern Playable Roxanne, TM. Not nothing too crazy here, but just still ecstatic to have 5-0'd with this deck, and just really pleased with how this turned out. So let me know in the comments if you liked this video, if you think that Isochron Scepter sucks, if you think it's great, if you have any suggestions for ways to make this deck better, or anything that you would like to see played in a deck in the future, just let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.